Hello and welcome back everyone to our Napoleon Toast War Let's Play series as the Austrian Empire. Carrying on directly from our previous episode, we have Napoleon bearing down on us and another full stack, or the equivalent of, from Switzerland coming through the Alps as Napoleon. It was historical that he has done that towards Austria. Actually, looking at this, very historic approach here. Yeah, it's very interesting indeed that we've managed to get ourselves quite by chance into that position. And we are, of course, laying an ambush waiting for him. We have all of the mountains covered over here. You can see by our area in yellow, our area of control there is what the yellow denotes this. So long as he comes through here, we should be able to catch him. The only casualties we have to replenish are just a few 13 chevaux légers from this one regiment here, so we should be able to deal with that somewhat handily there. We can see that Napoleon does have some replenishment of his own to do, and it's this unit of conscripts which is the lowest, and although there is only conscripts, they do have a fairly decent morale, much better than any of ours. Overall though, he's not using the most elite army as far as French standards go. Very nice morale, but if we look at the general accuracy, it's hovering around the 25 mark on an average. His better units are towards the Garde de Paris, where he has an accuracy of 30, which is subpar, which the accuracy should be 32. And ours is actually higher because we have some chevron units and such, and some fairly decent elite infantry here now, and of course some rifled skirmishers with even higher, which is what they specialise in. So, that's an interesting dynamic there. We have worse morale but better accuracy. We could have to use shock tactics to get Napoleon down by the looks of things. We can't stay in a standard battle there. So that's the immediate military threat, but we've been neglecting a long-term internal problem, and that is the question of public order. A lot of our regions are actually in the yellow here of public order, and that's not good. Why? Well, quite simply, it means we can't develop our structures economically. We can't increase the industry in a lot of our regions because of the lower order happiness there. So what exactly is causing this? Well, the tax burden is certainly one of those, and that will always be the case, but government type is also a major contributing factor there, as well as people in government. There might not be a lot of clamour for reform, if any, from the lower orders, but in fact we are seeing some clamour for reform from the nobles, which is rather interesting. I assume that's the same across the board. It certainly is. So what can we do about that? Well, long term, we can actually try and get into motion a revolution. It's something I've been planning in the back of my head for quite a while now, but you do need some sort of economic stability to bide you over while the revolution is happening. If we look at our government popularity, it is 65% and it is growing, but that's still not ideal. What we could do is try and fire and rehire some of our ministers. We do have a lot of four-stars, and in the Treasury, actually, a very nice, well-experienced young man here, really helping us with our global tax rate and such, and our growth. But our growth is still in the negative due to our high tax burden. And that's something that's going to really hurt us in the future. It's really stifling our economic power, is our negative growth, and actually negative population growth here. So that's happening because if we take a close look once again, negative is a tax burden and it is only ever increasing. However, it is the taxes which is bringing in our money at the moment. So you can see 15,000 base tax income with an 11,000 trade income here. Of course, our army upkeep is absolutely astronomical. But that is a necessary evil, and that's only going to get worse as we bring in our new model army from Vienna over here. In fact, we're not actually recruiting just yet. What were we recruiting in Venice? We were recruiting 3 units of cavalry. Got 2 units of grenadiers over here. Let's just start moving these cannons out towards the front line, because that's half the reason we're making those. Move them over here. That'll help me visualise exactly what we're doing. So, that'll be 8 units in total we have already. Let's enlist a general. Going to go for Johann von Kleinau over here because he has the ability to ambush anywhere, which is very interesting indeed. I'm very excited to try that out. Not the greatest command on the general, but if he can ambush anywhere, that absolutely negates his command, which is absolutely brilliant. So, what else do we want to make here then? Well, just more line infantry and hopefully some Jaegers if possible. I think we'll only go for a handful of Jaegers. We'll go for 3. And we will just make the rest of our army line infantry, I think. We might put in for some flavour, some first regiments with the Emperor's Own. Let's see, resistant to morale shocks and can hide in woodland. Nothing else of the ordinary there. How do they compare upkeep-wise with our grenadiers? Pretty much the same, and they're cheaper to recruit off the bat, so absolutely fine. And their accuracy is, of course, better, which is excellent. So that gives us a modicum of elite infantry in our lines there. We have the 47th Czech Regiment over here, which don't have anything particularly stand out, but their accuracy when chevroned here is actually pretty damn, well, will be decent, but they're limited to 2 units in total here. I think the rest of the units can be grenadiers then. And that's going to be a very expensive army. We do have 8.3 thousand income at the moment, but that will, of course, drop. And once we've made this army, the plan will be to stockpile on money so that we can deal with the negative income which comes from harbouring a revolution. Once we have a revolution, what that should mean is that lower order public happiness will get greater across the board due to the change in government type. We'll be able to just bring in some new ministers as well to help govern our territory. If it's a lower order public or revolution, that should turn into a republic. We should model ourselves off of the recent French Revolution, and hopefully that won't turn into an empire straight after. So what we're doing over here, we have fully replenished with this particular army, and I think we're going to slowly move up over here, uncover any site here, because I remember there was some sort of, yeah, here come the Spanish towards Marseille to back up their French allies. This is going to take a couple armies to deal with. Going to have to deal, I think, with Napoleon, of course, so we are going to bring in some reinforcements as well over here. Can we lay an ambush over here? We certainly can. So we're going to lay 2 ambushes for Napoleon. And that does cover a little bit of Milan over here. But winter is drawing in. We are in the autumn period. So we are going to have to worry about attrition in the snowy regions in the mountains. But that's something the French will have to deal with as well. But it is something to keep in the back of our heads. We can move this particular spy over. Is there any point in trying to sabotage an army over here? Because we do have some ambushes set up. I think we do not bother to sabotage an army over here. In fact, we could try and sabotage a smaller army, but that is not very great. It's a risk I'm willing to take, though, I think. And it was successful. Excellent. Well worth it, then. So the idea there was to keep this army stationary while we let the larger army come into our ambush and make our ambush more worthwhile by catching the larger prey there. Not much we can do via diplomacy. Got all our trades going. Not much else we can do with that. So I think we are just going to review our technology once again. Pretty much all we can do there. We're going to carry on with carcass shots so we can get the experimental howitzer, which will then unlock quicklime shot, and quicklime is absolutely the way to go. I believe not only does that damage people as you would expect, but it does actually slow down the enemy's advance on the battlefield, which is absolutely brilliant. So let's carry on and see what today brings for us. Okay, so on that end turn, the Kingdom of Bavaria has been destroyed. We were asked to go into that war against them, and of course Prussia has taken that out once again. Will that come back? Possibly. It's been a tale of rise and fall, has the Kingdom of Bavaria there. We have a lot of new recruits as well for our new model army, and that's looking very, very nice indeed. Let's pull those troops together, shall we? Some very, very nice cuirassiers over here, which is looking very, very nice indeed. So that's 4 extra units. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have the space for 2 more units there. You can see that's really adversely affected our income, but not to worry there. We have some money in the bank already. What else do we want to do? Can we get some elite cavalry? They inspire nearby units, which could be very useful, and they scare enemies, so they'd be very, very useful for a nice quick morale shock there. How many can we get? We can get 2 of them, but I will put a limit of 4 units of cavalry in one army. It's just how I like to play with that. Could go for another unit of howitzers. Could go for that. What exactly is the range on those? 550 compared to, we've been using 6-pounders, I think, so it's not too much shorter than the cannons we have been using. Needs to be prepared to move those up later on though. Light cavalry, not so worried. I think we just go really for another unit of German grenadiers. It's as simple as that, really. Yeah, I think between our skirmishers and our cannons, we'll be absolutely fine there. It gives us a little bit of leeway to move around and manoeuvre on the battlefield there, I think. So we're good for every type of battle, whether it's open field, town or ambush there. So not to worry with that. How are we looking at our prestige? I've not really given this any thoughts at all previously. And we're second only to France as far as prestige is concerned. With this new model army, that's propelled our military strength above Prussia's. Britain is looking absolutely terrible. Russia looking fairly poor as well. And of course our sea naval power, certainly less than France, certainly less than Britain as well. So we're not particularly contending that, as we well know. Our economics, despite actually having a fairly weak income at the moment, a net income, we're the strongest economic power, which is rather interesting for Austria. But we can still upgrade a lot of things to propel that further, but this is the thing, they're mostly industrial buildings and they will ruin our happiness, and that is just something we need to get a revolution for, to lay the groundwork for that, unfortunately. But not to worry there. We could think about upgrading to metalled roads. We could try and go for this banking house here. But I think what we're going to do is start stockpiling some resources. We have 10,000 in the bank already. 1 or 2 turns of stockpiling will absolutely cover the 1 or 2 turns needed for a revolution. Whether that happens in this episode or the next depends on what sort of action we get. The French and Spanish didn't really move over the end turn here. In fact, they just amalgamated their forces over here, did the Spanish. And with winter coming on, we are going to have to push Marseille that a little bit harder. So I think what we do is we try and bring them out to hit us. What we could do is send out some... how does our happiness look at the moment here? It's actually in the positive, so we don't need a garrison in particular there. So what we can do is sacrifice some fencibles over here to raid the market. There we go. So with that done, we can send these, keep them here, bait out perhaps an army over here, and that should come along the road, of course, covered by this particular ambush here. But we actually need to do some replenishment there, which is rather interesting. I was not entirely aware of that. It's very interesting indeed. That does weaken us a bit. Can we replenish in our territory? Tad, yes, we can. So we're going to pull back with this group, cover the road here, cover our army, replenish a tad over here. There will be very minor replenishment, not to worry. And just keep back over here, because we've lost sight of Napoleon, which is rather interesting. What we might want to do is take this agent, actually keep this one over here. Yeah, okay, so he's pulled back. That's absolutely fine. That's good news for us. So all that means is we can actually push in with this unit. We'll lay an ambush here. And what we'll do is, I think, push back with this group to replenish. And, of course, guard Milan. But we'll keep this here for now. So, let's end the turn there, I think. They don't need to be too active this turn. We have greater plans in the grand scheme of things. And there we go, our militia bait has been taken and our ambush has been successful. So this should be fairly straightforward, just need to watch out for our damaged units over here. But should not be too much of a problem with this being an ambush. We can certainly circle them from the start. And their massive reliance on cannons is going to hinder them here. Absolutely useless in a defending ambush. Let's get going. Okay, so before we start this battle, I think it's worth really going in detail to what sort of starting position we have here. It's very, very interesting indeed. So the most obvious thing that's quite striking is how the French have had to deploy because of the ambush. Very, very blocked up. Usually they manage to stretch across their entire deployment line. That's not the case here. Once again, if we had some howitzers, this would be absolutely disgusting. Or even just some flat-lying cannons could sit on this ridge over here, fire straight into them, take out their cavalry at least. But that's not going to be the case. And that does also make things a little difficult for us to deploy around them, because ideally we'd stretch out our lines to be quite spaghetti-type lines, so that we can get more men firing in position. But not to worry, we can't do that just yet. And what else is hindering us is this particular mound here. This is going to be impassable terrain, quite weirdly, so we can't sit on top of that. We can't stretch our lines out past that because they have to come around over here and fire through. So I think what we're going to do is keep our cavalry out over here in cover from, or with this particular hill. Let that act later on. Encircle from a few different sides, of course, as you should in an ambush. Mostly rely, actually, I think, on this unit as a front line here. So we're going to use our Swiss line over here as a main battle line, protected by some light infantry here. We have a small unit of damaged troops over here, hoping to rush into this garrison over here to shoot from excellent cover right into the French over here. And of course we're going to back them up with this particular line as well. So that's going to get straight in there. Double time right into the enemy's face. We're very nearly in range to begin with. And just get moving over here and move as quickly as possible with this group. Like so. Double time that. Give them a bit of time to get right in range there. We're actually already in range with this group, so we are going to actually reform over here. We've taken the building, excellent. The general's having a look over there. Just bring this unit over here to deal with that, because it is in reserve at the moment. There we go. Is this being shot in the back? No, it's not. We should be able to fire over their heads over there with our light infantry right in their face over here. So what we're going to do is bring our cavalry round, I think. Have a look at that. Might want to make a gap for our cavalry very soon. Try and turn my volume down because that's really hurting my ears. Oh, just missed once again. Just trying to look out for that cavalry charge there. Not to worry. Let's halt here. Just make some minor adjustments there and come around like so. Try and bend round, I think. Or do we push in here? Don't think we need to push in just yet like that. What we need is our cavalry to come round, I think. Double time that. Double check over here how we're doing. I think we're doing absolutely fine. We should have squared up once again, but they are rousing off, not to worry. If I had a pound for every square I should have made and missed it, I'd be bloody rich. We're going to protect our flanks over here with this particular unit. Should be able to catch the cavalry before they run back in once they have recovered there. We're going to stretch back out over here, get more men firing there. Watch out over here for this particular cavalry, because it might just charge around. You see cannons are firing out here. That's why we need our cavalry to come in really to disable those. What we can do is just bring our cavalry around over here. It's going to be fairly awkward. We just need to keep an eye on that because they're firing out some canister shot now. Double check our general because he is taking some stray shots, but he's so far off now. I think we actually need to bring him in. What is going on over here? Do not remember giving this order. No idea what's going on there. Maybe some cavalry got through. Need to watch out for some cavalry now. We are being fired in the flank. Let's just bring our own round. It's going to be a tad awkward because we've positioned not really allowing for cavalry to get through. Okay, we're certainly in range now, so let's just hold some fire at this group. A little look at that. How many hits are we getting on target there? Coming up as Fusiliers there. How are the enemy looking? Yeah, they're coming up for another cavalry charge, so just needs to be wary. Have made contact with a few units there actually, which is why we can't form a square. Really not being alive to that. It's going to be a fairly bloody ambush here, but I think what we do now is send in a unit or two of cavalry here. Really silence those cannons if possible. I might actually want to bring one unit back over here to chase down any rousing enemies. Look at that, cavalry's coming in there really horribly. Guess on this back over here. And what we're going to do is, where are the cannons located? It's very difficult within the trees here. They're right behind this unit of Fusiliers. They're forming rather a nasty square in a way for us. Don't want to charge them head on, but that might have to be the case here. Should we wait for them to fire out once again, get them while they're reloading, which is now. Might want to just hold fire very quickly here while our cavalry comes in. Don't want to shoot those with our own men. Let's follow that in. Cannot see. Not ideal for your cavalry here, but it needs to happen. You can see the morale there really going down. They are tired. See if we can push straight through to these cannons here. Yeah, they are roused, which is going to help us push through, and that's absolutely brilliant. And we can carry on firing once again now. Let's bring this unit of cavalry over. I think actually we need to make use of our general a little better here. If we push him in a tad, we can inspire our units of fights a tad harder. I think we'll inspire this unit of grenadiers here. There we go, lovely, look at that. Straight in, oh, point blank range there. Absolutely broken and tired of the French infantry there. And where are our cavalry? Just over here. We're going to chase off, I think we'll just chase off these units over here. That should be about it. In fact, we need to push our cavalry out over here to deal with these units. Bring our reserve cavalry in. That's actually threatening our general with this position over here. Needs to be alive to this over here, but I think our cavalry can deal with that fairly easily. It's a little awkward around the mound over here. A few losses on the charge in there though, but the French instantly rouse off. You can see they are now shattered, which is a permanent retreat for them there. Just this one last unit of their own Swiss line here. Battling between the camera and the trees here, just trying to get some nice shots in there. See, the French morale is still holding there a tad, but should say that they're now broken. And that should be a victory. Somewhat bloody. You can see we've used a lot of ammunition on our grenadiers. Look at the amount of corpses though, and that is a very nice victory for us indeed. We're not going to chase them down, that should be absolutely fine there. Let's end the battle. Okay, so somewhat on the heavier losses for us. We lost 681 men, but the enemy has 343 remaining, so that will be an escape for them. And I don't remember seeing that we killed their general, so it's quite likely he survived. Let's take a quick look. Doesn't look like it. But it looks like one regiment or two will survive that battle. And we have an offer from Prussia. They want us to join the war against Württemberg, and they're going to pay us a measly 420 money there, and they're going to give us top gallants Once again, it's very measly, not going to help. And I think we are trading with Württemberg, and that is more important for us. We're going to refuse that offer. Alrighty, so over the end turn, doesn't look like the Spanish attacked us there, which is absolutely brilliant. We have a new gentleman in Austria. What is he good at? Nothing in particular just yet. We have a fair amount of gentlemen already in Graz over here. So I think we're actually going to send him over to Florence, which does have a few gentlemen already in there, but it's the closest school. Otherwise, we could actually send him over to... where is this? Perugia over here. What is that going for? It's going for our industrial technologies. I think it would certainly benefit to get someone in there, spread out our education, as you certainly should. Spy network established in Strasbourg gives us good sight on the entire region. We can see that there are a few minor French armies wandering about. So it looks like this particular general is moving away after suffering some sort of casualties there. Looking out really for Napoleon once again. Looks like he's threatening the Alps once again. It's very tempted to go and take that battle in the open field there, but it's going to be very foresty. It's going to be very hilly. It's going to be very nasty. I don't think I want to take that outside of an ambush battle in this particular terrain here, which is rather unlucky for us. Let's come back over here. Yes, in here. That'll help our replenishment. You can see the rate of replenishment has increased. So let's lay an ambush to help us out. Which should still be certainly in our own territory there still, which is excellent. I think we bring this army down to help out over here for now. The one ambush there will be absolutely fine. And we bring this group back to help replenish in Milan. It's just unlucky there. Do we press the attack on Marseille with 2 full Spanish stacks over here? Not entirely sure. We have a trade route raided as well, once again outside of Gibraltar, and we have our new model army very nearly completed by the looks of things. Just waiting for our reinforcements over here. Having said that, do we bring them through Munich and go for Strasbourg? Could do. Could do. That means we can go through the Alps ourselves in that time. Might even want to join the war against Württemberg if that's the case later on. I think we've got enough armies in this area, don't we? What we could do is take this new model army and we could use it to invade Spain, which is something I've had on the cards for quite a while but have not entirely acted on. Going for Madrid will absolutely give us a possible peace treaty with Spain. We could even just go for the domination of Spain, probably a little more permanent. That sounds a little more likely, doesn't it? So I think we're going to send this unit over here into our port, wait the one more turn of recruitment over here so we get the heavy cavalry. And how actually is our navy? Are we recruiting anything? No, we're not. That's absolutely fine. We do have this small stack over here to transport the troops. The problem with that is this massive navy over here. Can blockade it, certainly can blockade it, but with so many enemy armies over here, they can just force us out. And I can only really blockade that with, I think, one ship is all it will take to blockade it, but they can just come straight out and destroy that with that massive stack. We could make 2 separate fleets, of course. Could make 2 separate fleets. We could use our main perhaps as bait over here to take a fight, but we'll lose that again. We could take a single or 1 or 2 ships over here to transport our armies over to Barcelona. But there is of course still the threat of a potential Spanish navy. We can see that that is coming from perhaps we've got some trade ships over here. Did forget about that actually. But we do have a Spanish navy in Black Sea over here. There might well be one because we do have a enemy ship over here, don't we? Might be something else around Gibraltar waiting for us. Got Italian, we've got Spain. That's all coming from the same trade route over here. I I think it's just time really to scout out is the thing. So let's scout. Looking okay so far, but that's not really cleared anything up that we couldn't already see. I think what we do is we recruit a very easy... we'll recruit a sloop. And take 2 turns, that's absolutely fine. Take 1 turn to get the army fully recruited, and it'll take another to get over here anyway, so that's absolutely fine. We'll think about that in the future. We'll just carry on scouting and mining our way around there. Just want to get the maximum use out of this new army, and we have so many in northern Italy now that we want to stretch out and project our power, and really knocking out Spain I think is the best way to do that. So let's carry on, and I think how's our money looking? Not great at all, but that will change fairly soon. So let's carry on and get that going, I think. Let's have a look at what we can do over here. I don't think we can push this right now, can we, unfortunately? So let's carry on and end the turn. Okay, so we have ambushed Napoleon around the mountains over here, and it's looking rather interesting. Both armies have some pre-existing casualties, but I think we have the advantage here. We're going to get some more use out of our cannons, more use than the enemy's going to get out of theirs. We can see that they have a fair amount of casualties to replenish themselves, and that's actually in their more elite infantry, which is absolutely brilliant for us. And they're fairly heavy casualties in a few of their regiments, especially this Fusiliers over here, 145, which is quite a lot to have lost. So we should be fine. It is an ambush battle, so fingers crossed that we pull this off fairly smoothly. Okay, so quite an interesting deployment here as well. Because Napoleon has his hot air balloon, does always deploy second, which means we can't see, even in an ambush battle, how the enemy is set up before we deploy, which is rather interesting. But so we're going to go for a fairly basic frontline tactic here. Going to separate our elite infantry from our mainline backbone. So which means we are going to focus over here. We're going to put our general with our elite as well, so that we can inspire them a little harder in the future. Just going to pull back with our general to begin with. The problem, as you can probably tell from these craters here, is that this is also quite hilly, as you would expect. We were fighting around the mountainous area, which means we can't box in as much as we'd like, and it's fairly difficult for our cannons to position themselves. So what we're hoping for is actually to position our cannons on the top of this ridge over here. If we're lucky, we'll be able to get right on the lip of this brow and get some nice canister shots, if possible, into the enemy down here. But that's if they don't put their cavalry right here, because otherwise we will be rushed down. Putting our cavalry over here to try and slow them down if that is indeed the case, and we do have some room over here to push in if not. We're going to put some light infantry, some Jaegers, onto this particular hill so that they don't get charged. You can see from here they can fire down and make use of their range. Going to put the rest of our light infantry all the way out here. That will mean they're probably out of the battle for a fair bit, but that's absolutely fine. The main punch is going to come from our main line line infantry rather. So, where is the enemy? That's the question. Let's pause there right next to our light infantry, and that's not good at all. Which means we are likely going to lose these fairly quickly, actually. So we need to double time over here as quickly as possible. And that's rather unlucky. That's completely countered our plan, which is just annoying, to be honest. And does mean we have to give them the cover of the trees here. Because of this town. So make some thick lines at the back over here very quickly. I think we still decide to put our cannons in place over here on this hill, because we'll be able to fire into them. Just changes our line of sight a bit, so it does keep them out of the way of the enemy there. We're going to have to bring our general down a little closer, of course. Bring him over here to start with. It's going to be we're going to lose these Jaegers. Absolutely going to lose these Jaegers. Not to worry though, they're fairly easy to recruit once again, but it's just annoying. They get some opening shots on, of course. Bring our cavalry around. But it's up to you guys to start, and we have taken some damage already from previous battles. Their cavalry, of course, can just run us straight down. We can't form squares with these. and they're absolutely hopeless in melee combat. Yeah, they're already thinking about coming out here. We've got some chasseurs cheval already firing out onto us, but it looks like they're tempted over here. Do we make a square already? I think we make a square so we can force some contact here, some fairly decent contact. Bit of a stuss there, but they are going to evade us, which is rather unlucky. Going to shoot them in the back though, which is always fun. I think we bring our general over this way of town actually. Just bring him back a little. Come out of that square because it's not doing anything now. And we're going to, unfortunately, I think, find some contact here. I'd have run straight in if that were me with the cavalry rather than stop there. Not to worry. How's our cannons looking? Can we unlimber them? Not just yet, unfortunately. I think the Jaegers over here can sit out this battle. Did tell them to come out of square, didn't we? No, interesting. Let's just miss that. It's okay, just come around here. Not quite making contact just yet, and the enemy's not too sure what it wants to do with its formation, which does give us more time to fire on them. So absolutely happy about that. Are we still double timing? Please, double time. So that we can get some shots out onto the chasseurs cheval before they make contact. But they have made contact now over here, and that will absolutely crush our infantry. What we need to do is, yeah, they're already routed before we're given the move to retreat. So we're just going to pull back to the sides over here if possible. Split up a tad so that we don't get too much more contact over here. Do we need to make a square? I think we certainly do with this unit at least. Are they going to stop? They are lancers, so they can't fire at us. Yeah, okay, interesting. What about this unit over here? It's chasseurs cheval, so they're probably going to sit and fight on horseback there, and it's looking like we can take advantage of this. What we will do is sit over here with one unit. I think that can't take our whole units, unfortunately, that garrison, but that's not to worry there. Just push in a tad like so. How are we looking over here? Still wary of this unit of cavalry. Where are our own cavalry? Let's bring those round quite wide over here. Let's bring a couple like that. It's a real shame we don't actually have access to grenades with Darth Mod, but not to worry. Let's bring our general down a tad. Inspire some units. Don't need to inspire this. This will hold out fairly fine. Let's turn around. Just pull back with this unit. I think yeah, they're already routing. Rather unlucky once again. Get some shots into the back of this chasseurs cheval. There we go. We can come out of square here and just form up like that. Let's our own cavalry come in. I think we chase down this chasseurs cheval over here with both units to begin with. Just get through this gap here. Come round, support our own infantry there once again. How are our cannons doing? They should really be ready to unlimber now. Will they be in range now is the question. Can we see their firing arcs? Yeah, they're just about in range. So we're going to fire out on their cannons here, hoping the shells bounce through. In fact, we can just probably fire out over here. Get some barrage going to help our reload speed. Double time over here because we're going to be in trouble otherwise. We are firing out over on the right side there. Just in time to get some very close range shots out with some retreating cavalry going straight through our line there. The thunder there of the march, shaking the camera, shaking our morale by the looks of it. Reach out and high-five them, shake their hands before you sauce them. Going to fire? Is that going to force a melee? They're so close. Oh, that is disgusting. Even muskets will hurt people there. We can hear our own cannons coming in now, which is excellent. How are we looking with our cavalry is the question. All good. Okay, cool. What we can do is snipe down their general here. How we do with this backup unit? Not too bad. Come for this block of conscripts over here, I think. We can do that with one unit. The second unit actually can position over here fairly quickly and then go into their cannons. Oh, they've gone for a square there. We are going for their general, but just base out the square a little bit there. Let's inspire something with our general, inspire the Hungarian Fusiliers here to start firing us a little quicker, please, because we have some tired Fusiliers right in front of us. Absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. How are we looking over here? Do we have a melee going on? I think we certainly do. have killed their general, but we need to watch out for this melee over here. So what are we doing? We need to think about supporting that. We're going to support that by reforming our cavalry, bring this unit out to get into the banks over here. This unit can get into the sides of this unit. This one, as planned, can go into the enemy's cannons. I think we need to reorder over here. Let's pull back in there. Enemy general is wounded. Of course, Napoleon, being a legendary general, does not die outright. He will be coming back, unfortunately, in the future. We've routed with our counter-charge over here the enemy, which is excellent. Which means I think we come back with our cavalry, regroup our men over here. They are on guard mode. Just bring them out so they can fire into the backs of what we have over here. Colonne d'attaque and fusiliers. Got some accidental reserve over here, so what I think we're going to do is actually pull back with this unit. Their morale is wavering, and so is their number of men. Just push in over here. Now we're looking not too bad. Routing off the enemy over here. Excellent. Looks like all of our Jaegers have actually survived, but taken heavy casualties, which is excellent. Routed, but not completely deterred. We are going to rouse over here if we're not careful. So we just cycle charge over here because we are only light cavalry, and come back over to do a massive counter charge into the enemy's flank over here. I think we are sourcing out some fusiliers here, which is excellent. Pull round our cavalry. I think do have some enemies hidden in the woods over here. Should be okay to deal with that. Just try and position ourselves a little better over here because we're getting shot in the back. Just counter-charge, please, over here. Come round, get in here straight away. Don't mess around anymore. Just give the order to attack.
Our men are running.
Yeah, we have some rousing men over here because we couldn't get to them in time, unfortunately. But we need to save this unit. What we could do is be a little more active with our general, I think. Just give him some nav points over here. Just gonna have to take the long way around though, so we don't shoot him in the back with our own men and such. I think we use this unit to watch our flank and bring this unit in to attack the enemy's flank as well. How are we doing over here? They only have a few units left, so they're wavering. I think should be alright there. Sorting out some rousing units here, that's absolutely fine.
Our men are running.
Got more routers because the enemy are just that much better and more numerous in melee over here, which should be alright on this attack here. Might have to cycle charge over here, use our light cavalry properly. Would be nice, wouldn't it? Let's just charge our general in there. Cycle once again. Enemy's broken here, so let's encircle this unit. Town really obscuring us here. I've routed. What do we have over here? Some fusiliers, colonne d'attaque. I think we've got this battle. It's going to be a costly one once again. What do we have over here coming back? That's threatening our light infantry. Let's pull out over here and use this cavalry. I think it's probably not the greatest idea to use our cavalry there actually. Let's pull round, try and attack this with a few units there. Let's come back over here, protect our general. Our own general can push around here, I think. Support our morale. We're going to be shooting these in the back, so that's absolutely fine. Do we have any idle cavalry at the moment? Not necessarily. It's going to be tough to source out this unit actually because they have the cover of the town. Cavalry not the best for town fighting, of course. We should be able to deal with this though. There's 67 men in this regiment, but they are rousing off over here. So, what do we have left to deal with? According to the map, everything is rousing in some form or other. Yep, these units have given up. Oh, actually, they're coming back, getting more solid. But that is a victory, and we're certainly going to take that. No need to pursue any further. We've both taken enough losses. Not entirely sure it's heroic, but we have stopped Napoleon once again. And yeah, absolutely bloody battle. 1,100 losses on our side there. Really, that was quite an unfortunate French deployment for us. And both sides were previously battered from previous fighting, but a victory is a victory. kept all of our units, and we do have some reinforcements on the way, of course. So not the end of the world, but a very nice victory as well. So, how are we looking at the end of that turn? Well, we have a new course of justice in Wallachia. How's our happiness there? The repression's still not really helping, but it is quite nice to have that extra tax income. Not that really matters at the moment, because we're going to get the revolution in motion very soon. Unit recruited. Emperor's own, wasn't it? Excellent stuff. Let's get into this port. And how are we looking over here? Can we see if the French Navy's over here? We certainly can't just yet. Let's push in a little bit with our militia that we're sacrificing. Yeah, so they're still here. That's absolutely fine. We'll take this as just a scouting at the moment. The Spanish aren't about anymore, aren't they? Okay, so we have a unit over here. What happened to that second stack though? We do have a lot of sight over here, so I'm willing to bet that we can go for Marseille now. We should do that before winter approaches. Absolutely do that before winter approaches. So let's go all the way over here. Just double check the extent of our movement. That's absolutely fine. Let's just go. Yeah. There we go. We'll move together so that we can reinforce if we do get attacked by a large stack. Ancillary gains to a gentleman. Absolutely great. And we have a new general available, Johann von Hiller. Let's see what he does. Let's have a look for that. Just confident defender, not particularly useful. We do have a lot better choices over here for future armies. And we can already see, look at this, we're laying an ambush on plain open road, even with cannons and cavalry and heavy cavalry, in fact, in our army. I'm going to have a lot of fun with this. We're going to have a lot of fun with this. I think the optimum way to use this is actually, as we have previously seen in this episode, to shadow it with 1 or 2 units of militia, which will not be able to ambush anywhere. So the enemy does take that as bait and have this hiding in plain sight next to it. So that the enemy does, of course, go for the militia rather and gets ambushed by this main army. Might be a decent idea. Gives us a little more expense, but certainly worth it if we can pull this off properly. So, what does that mean now? Austria, or Vienna, is open to attack, which is absolutely brilliant. Why is it brilliant? Because we're going to start getting a revolution in the works. We have 20,000 gold in the bank. We're going to lose roughly 5,000 to 6,000 per turn, so we're going to lose about 12,000 or so over the next couple of turns. That's absolutely fine. We planned for that. We have that 20,000 in the bank to buffer that a little. So how are we going to start a revolution? We're going to drive taxes right up. But, of course, that means every single province is going to be rebellious. So what do? Well, we have to exempt everyone from taxes. But now that's done, everyone is on the happier side. In the positives, at least. Apart from Vienna, we have -1 there. We have clamour for reform, huge tax burden there. Weirdly, the nobles are still quite happy. Interesting. Rather interesting indeed. Can we do anything to help out there? If we can reduce our repression, that would be nice. We just fire our Minister for Justice there. So he's not giving... Oh, he's giving a small bonus there, actually. Can we kick him out again? Make use of our absolutism there, maybe. He's still giving +1 for repression, but not to worry. What's this? Trait gain status quo for our Minister here. Reduces clamour for reform, but also reduces the happiness of lower classes, which is exactly what we're looking for here. -1's absolutely fine, but if that grows back to neutral, we're not going to get a revolution. That would be just lost income of 6.455 thousand there, which is rather unlucky. So, over the next turn we should get a letter of demands, and we'll see about that. I think we're absolutely fine on movement. Just going to make sure that we pull back over here, get this unit out, like so, form an ambush here, protect from Napoleon. We have our reinforcing cannons now, which I think we need some cannons over here, so we're actually going to disband. I think we've got 3 units of cannon. I want 2 units. We're going to sacrifice actually these Grenzers, not particularly needed. And these units are actually quite well experienced. We're going to sacrifice this group. Just put them in here. take 2 cannons here. What are we not gaining a lot of use out of here? I think we remove 1 use of cannon here. And that's pretty much all we need to do, actually. Just get like that for now. That's looking a little more modern there. Very nice indeed. But look at the amount of French armies here. Look at all of that still to deal with. Napoleon may be down, but he's certainly not out. Let's infiltrate over here. We might actually be able to sabotage. 25%, not really worth it, is it? What about assassination? 40% of Jean-Baptiste Bessarier. I don't know how to pronounce that, I would apologise. And detected, not to worry, just dump in there. Have a look at the army, not too bad. And we'll start building up a spy network there to get better look over Switzerland. We're going to rush on now and try and take Marseille and see if we can get that revolution started, shall we? Okay, so we're going to be speeding through this. The next turn we have got plateways, which is absolutely brilliant. Works on strike in Austria as according to plan, and we have our sloop ready to bring over our army here. So let's get on with that. Get like that. Should be all good. Just double check our army. Looking very nice indeed. So we've kicked out a unit of grenadiers here. Just why is that? Do we just over recruit? I think we have. That's absolutely fine. We'll just disband these then. There's no need for them. So that being said, I don't think we're actually on that navy, which is rather interesting. There we go. So, what we're going to do with this sloop, we're going to try and invade Spain, aren't we? So if we pull up over here, over the second turn, we should be able to get to Barcelona according to how far I can move with this group. So what we're going to do is actually get our sloop over here, out of sight, hopefully. We're going to have to block this port. We're going to have to block that port. That's the problem. New nation arises. Kingdom of Bavaria. That did not take long at all. Bohemia has a new museum, which is excellent. Thomas Kellerman's a bit better. We block this port now, I think. Do we block it with only 1 ship, though? That's the question, because we're certainly going to lose this group if we do engage. I think we block with 1 carronade frigate, so that we can sacrifice that fairly happily. We can see an enemy on Ajaccio there. Very interesting indeed. And we can use this to scout ahead for our sloop, I think. Just make sure there's nothing in these open waters here, so that's absolutely fine. Also, I think we're looking okay over here. Just very quickly take Marseille, as you do. I think we're going to be fine to auto-resolve over this. Are we? Is this putting the siege up there? Can't see anything coming from the west. Possible army coming down. Possible 2 armies here. So we're going to lay an ambush. Will this cover the road? Should do. Yeah, that's going to cover the road there, so that's nice. And we're just going to quickly go over this battle. I think we're going to play it manually, but we'll skip over it if possible. It's going to just take too much time. Alrighty, so Marseille is now ours. Excellent stuff. We'll peacefully occupy that. Thank you very much. What sorts of damages do we have? Certainly repair everything. Here it doesn't cost too much. Only cobbled roads though, or basic roads, not even cobbled. We will save our money because we are losing at the moment some money. That's absolutely fine. That will become a fairly rich town in the future. Because we have a garrison there, we don't actually need to exempt that from taxes just yet. So that alleviates our losses the tiniest bit there. I think with these units we can just disband them. No, actually, we keep them about to help out with the policing in the future, if need be, actually, and that will very much be the case, I believe. Move them a bit closer just for now. Keep this port blockaded, and don't force out the enemy just yet, because that will force engagement if we push them out, of course. So, I think that's really all we can do at the end of this turn there. Apart from, double check our technologies. Might want to go for modern rifles actually to unlock our extra top tier light infantry there. Minus 10% upkeep cost for skirmish units. Very, very nice indeed. Standardized artillery is not too bad. Upkeep for artillery is not bad at all. Campaign movement range is also very nice as well. It's going to take 17 turns to get any of that, though. I think we're going to go for modern rifles. Could go for increased movement range for ships, which isn't necessarily bad, but not needed at the moment. It's a bit too late for that, unfortunately. But not to worry, let's keep going. Alright, so this is fairly interesting, actually. Very lucky we did send this single carronade out, because the Spanish have sent rather a minor task force to deal with that. We're just auto-resolve. We can't retreat, unfortunately. Just auto-resolve that. It's rather interesting. Saying that we've suffered a defeat, but we haven't lost anything. We've actually captured a ship. But we have 0. I don't know how we've not lost anything. But, you know, don't have any remaining. But not to worry, it's defeat either way. Just 1 carronade, that was the purpose of that. They've not actually gone for our army, which is brilliant. Ooh, or have they? Very, very nice indeed. Could have to retreat from that. And they don't have the movements to deal with that. So that's absolutely brilliant, but it does put us in a bit of a position there. Work is right in Austria. Absolutely great that's going around. Fleet destroyed. And we have a new ordnance board in Vienna and a banking house in Bohemia, which is excellent stuff there. So, experimental house is now available. Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. We'll use that in the future. So how are we going to get our navy over to Spain now then? Well, we certainly need to tidy up this particular fleet. Just do that very quickly. There we go. Easy stuff. Yeah, we'll capture the merchant ship. Why not? Brilliant. But we no longer have any movement range, unfortunately, there. So, can we reach anything there? I think we push up over here to allow us some movement range to run away if need be. Might even be a better idea to have gone back and garrisoned here, but not to worry. Just wondering about this French fleet. We'll let it sit in the ports there for now, and over the next turn we should be able to get to Barcelona. It looks like the Spanish haven't worried to come down to Marseille themselves, which is excellent. So we can sit and replenish as need be here. Could even go over to Toulouse if we wanted, but I think we're going to guard against the Spanish armies there and carry on like that. It's a fairly static turn, but I think we'll end this mega episode with the final revolution of Austria there. Well, there we go, revolution in Austria, which is absolutely what we have been hoping for. So we are going to side with the rebels here. And we are given a full stack, and we have to march on Vienna. Because we took out our new army, there only has a few units there for us to deal with, which is absolutely brilliant. Just some militia here. Easy auto-resolve for us. Very nice little revolution there, and it has succeeded. And we have now entered the rule of 1,000 rats. A quote from Voltaire, actually. Although he was an Enlightenment philosophe, actually supported a monarchy. He said he would rather be ruled by one lion than 1,000 rats. So, we can now have to source out our taxes and such. But I think that will be a case for the next video. And that will be a very, very interesting one indeed. But we'll just double check exactly what sort of government we are now. We are now a republic, which is absolutely brilliant. And we have a very nice new flag to go with it. We are now of course we're still the Austrian Empire, which is interesting. They were still saying that. But we should say the Republic of Austria, really, shouldn't it? Not to worry, just bring these out of attrition. And that will do for today. A mega episode once again, guys. But we got things done. Taken Marseille, and hopefully we've sorted out our population issues, which should mean a long-term economic gain there. So, thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I shall see you in the future. May all of your nights and days be auspicious. Goodbye.